Hello, everyone. Today we are taking the full 10 minutes to explore one of the most provocative and important conversations in modern culture, the intersection of faith, money, and power. We're breaking down the Tucker Carlson interview with Nathan Apfel, exploring how faith institutions in America have evolved into what they call the religion business. Nathan Apfel is an Emmy nominated filmmaker who spent 15 years auditing the legal architecture that allows American churches to operate with zero transparency. His journey began after a series of personal crises, including discovering that his own childhood youth pastor was involved in a massive scandal. It shook his faith to its core. Apfel notes a disturbing contrast between the simple churches he visited globally and the high-tech, multi-million-dollar arenas that have become the norm in America. He describes these institutions as nonprofit Goliaths, entities that use the U.S. tax code to shield themselves from any public or congregational oversight. One of the key legal findings is that in many megachurch bylaws, the senior pastor is legally defined as the president of the corporation. This definition often gives the pastor total control, sometimes for life, and removes the congregation's power to vote on removals or major financial decisions. The scale is mind-boggling. American religious institutions hold an estimated $2 trillion in assets and generate $600 billion in donations every single year. Shockingly, Apfel's research suggests that while nearly half of funds go to salaries and building upkeep, only about 6% typically reaches those in actual need. Perhaps the most controversial revelation involves technology. They discuss geofencing, a method used to digitally harvest the data of people in the pews. Geofencing draws a digital boundary around a church. When congregants enter with their phones, their device IDs are captured, allowing for specific digital targeting. Nathan cites Foreign Agents Registration Act, FARA, filings, alleging that foreign governments have funded campaigns to target American churchgoers. The investigation reveals foreign ministries using geofencing to push specific political narratives directly to the phones of believers after they leave a service. The goal is to shape American foreign policy by influencing the pews, often without the church leadership even knowing their people are being digitally targeted. It's not just digital ads. Pastors are reportedly being offered all expenses paid tours of historical sites to align their pulpit messaging with specific national interests. Nathan argues this has led to weaponized theology, using selective Old Covenant concepts to justify corporate goals and heavy financial demands. A primary example is the modern 10% tithe demand. Nathan argues this was part of an old taxation model fulfilled by Christ, now used for corporate sustainability. He points out that the actual Mosaic law required over 23%. By picking and choosing, institutions create a taxation system that serves the business, not the faith. Tucker and Nathan discuss the Judeo-Christian label, comparing it to a Reese's peanut butter cup, a mashup that sometimes obscures the core message of Christ. The argument is that Christ ushered in a new covenant of transparency and love, moving away from the legalistic and monarchical models of the past. The argument is that Christ ushered in a new covenant of transparency and love, moving away from the legalistic and monarchical models of the past. It's a human tendency to look away from things that push against our biases. This allows the religion business to flourish without any real accountability. This has led to the Walmart effect in religion. Massive megachurches move in and inadvertently drain the life from smaller, local, community-based faith centers. Like a corporate franchise, these megachurches centralize resources, leaving smaller churches, the spiritual backbone for generations, to close their doors. Statistics show church closures are outpacing expansions. When these small gathering places disappear, the local community loses vital, intimate support systems. Financial transparency is virtually non-existent. Because of their status, these institutions face far less scrutiny than other 501c3 groups. Nathan points to one megachurch with a $91 million budget that provides its congregation with only a single-page, 3-pie chart summary. The lack of oversight even extends to federal funds. The interview brings up shocking examples of stewardship involving taxpayer funded PPP loans. Specifically, they discuss a $1.7 million loan being forgiven for a church that was simultaneously buying a $12.7 million luxury hunting ranch. This represents a fundamental crisis of stewardship. It raises the question, where is the accountability for how these sacred funds are actually being used? Nathan shared a personal account of asking a pastor about his salary, only to be met by 15 security guards, having his phone seized and being briefly detained. This extreme defensive posture highlights how far some organizations have strayed from the open, servant-hearted leadership modeled by Christ. The LDS Church's investment arm is another massive example, holding an estimated $300 billion and making it one of the largest private landowners. Nathan projects this entity could hit $1 trillion in assets within 15 years, raising massive questions about the role of wealth in modern religion. The interview also touches on the translation of devouring widows' houses, a metaphor for institutional greed that takes from the most vulnerable. Tucker Carlson suggests a different path for reform, the model of an AA meeting. There, the price of admission is total vulnerability and honesty. In that model, transparency is built into the culture, contrasting sharply with the monarchical and opaque structures found in megachurch businesses. Tucker and Nathan both see themselves as auditors of these systems, individuals willing to look beneath the surface and challenge institutional decay. To combat this, Nathan co-developed Broken Shepherds, a global app designed to bring non-governmental accountability and transparency to the nonprofit sector. The tool aims to let congregants track their donations and ensure funds reach community needs like foster care rather than fog machines and stadium seating. The primary call for reform is open source accounting, where every dollar coming in and out of a religious institution is a matter of public knowledge. Nathan praises bivocational pastors, those who work regular jobs while leading small grassroots communities. He argues they are often more authentic. He argues these smaller, transparent communities are often the most sound, as their leadership isn't dependent on the institutional machine for survival. Ultimately, the responsibility rests with you. The interview encourages people to read the scriptures, ask hard questions, and demand transparency from leaders. By returning to the decentralized model of the early church, faith can once again be the beacon of light and service it was meant to be. The movement towards smaller, transparent gatherings is growing, a return to authenticity and community over corporate expansion. This return to transparency and community is the key to reforming the religion business and protecting the heart of genuine faith. We've covered a lot in this 10-minute investigation. What are your thoughts on the religion business? Have you seen these patterns in your own community? Thank you for watching this detailed breakdown. Please like and subscribe for more investigative deep dives into complex cultural topics. See you next time. For more information on the research discussed today, visit the resources linked in the description. Faith belongs to the people. Specific entities like Ensign Peak Advisors manage stock portfolios worth over $100 billion, highlighting the hedge fund aspect of modern religious finance. This wealth translates into physical power, with some religious groups becoming the largest private landowners in several U.S. states. The core of the problem, according to Apfel, is the lack of public reporting. Unlike other charities, churches aren't required to file Form 990 with the IRS. This legal architecture incubates abuse, allowing multi-million-dollar portfolios to grow without any public record of how the funds are actually spent. One major area for potential abuse is the housing allowance. This allows pastors to receive tax-free housing funds, often on properties valued at millions. In the interview, they discuss pastors receiving these tax-free benefits while acquiring massive real estate portfolios, some valued at upwards of $18 million. Reform starts with ending this opacity. Believers have the right to know if their donations are building empires or actually serving the needy. Imagine the impact if that's 6% for the needy was expanded by redirecting funds from luxury assets and corporate overhead back to the front lines. The goal is a return to the spiritual roots of faith, where leadership is a service, not a monarchy, and the message is more important than the machine. By prioritizing authentic community and transparency, we can protect the sacred mission from the corruptive influence of corporate greed. The future of faith is in your hands. Support those who lead with transparency and authenticity. Demand better from the institutions you call home. Together, we can usher in a new era of faith, one that is transparent, authentic, and truly focused on serving the least of these. Thank you for joining me for this 10-minute deep dive into the religion business. Please like, share, and subscribe to keep this conversation going. See you next time.